What's up folks, my name is Felix, welcome back to a new video. And as you can see, drip in the background, but we are not talking especially about drip in this video. No, we want to talk about all the forks of drip, the different mechanics or basically the same mechanics, and how you can be successful in those kind of projects, because there will be one on the base network in the upcoming days, probably weeks, end of September, beginning of October. And I want to give you the winning concept, how you make money in those, because it is essential to be aware of a few points how you deal with those kind of projects. First, we want to take a look at the patterns which all of those kind of projects had. Then we want to talk about the few points how a project of this kind gets successful, so how you can make money on one of them, especially on the new one which will come to the base network. So let's first take a look on the timeline. Drip, of course, was the first one, which launched in the second quarter of 2021. Then it had its pump when the bull run came. And after that, in 2022, there were a few copycats. The first bigger one was, of course, Furio. The second one was ARK Finance, which launched in the end of 2022. And now currently the most successful in terms of new investors and fresh capital is probably Pulse with a current price of almost 18 US dollars. Pre-salers had the chance to get in here at 2 US dollars, and the price shot up to almost 65 US dollars and is now sitting at roughly those 18 US dollars. So pre-salers are sitting at an 8 to 9x almost 40 days after the project launched. And you could imagine how successful in terms of profits this project for pre-salers was. The last one I wanted to mention, because it just launched a few days ago, is Alpha 365. This one is also on the Binance Smart Chain. Let's see how this develops over time. Those guys made it completely different. Those guys don't give the token volume or room to grow. Those set a LMS range, how Furio and ARK also try to do, and let's see how long the liquidity holds that we can continue on these price levels. So if we compare all the price charts of these projects, so the original one, Drip, then ArcFi, Furio, and also Pulse Drip, they all have a very similar pattern. We see this initial run up in Drip. It took quite a while until we saw the price booming up to almost 160 US dollars. In ARK, for example, they also almost set a LMS right at the beginning of the project. In Furio, it took a while until it pumped around 4 weeks, then the price shot up. And in Pulse Strip, we saw an initial pump, and now the price is leveling out currently at those 17 to 18 US dollars. So in all those projects, we saw bigger pumps, which in the end are, of course, unhealthy, because the pre-salers, the early ones, take their profits in this bigger run up, and most of them are probably already ROI'd once this pump happened or shortly after it. So these bigger initial pumps are not healthy in the long run for the project, especially as we have in all those projects no revenue stream. ArcFi implemented some right now, but yeah, this is way too late. Of course, the price dropped as we saw in all those projects. We had launch prices of more than sometimes even 20 US dollars. Drip is now sitting at 3 cents. ArcFi is sitting at 5 cents. Furio sitting at 3 cents as well. And Pulse Strip, as it is so new, is currently sitting at those 18 US dollar levels. So there is a pattern in all those projects which is very similar. We see those pumps because people get hyped up, they get FOMO. So just imagine being one of them here, buying into Drip at 140, 150 US dollars, and the price from there just crashed to now 3 cents. And that was, of course, because of all those YouTubers, all those people shilling the project, and people are just listening to those YouTubers. If they say a project is great, it has potential, it can go to the moon, and the price from this current level of around 140, 150 US dollars will even 10x. Why this is not possible is very easy, because there is not enough capital in the markets. All those people get daily returns. In Drip, it was 1% every single day. In Furio, it was even up to 2.5% a day. In ARK, it was up to 2%. In Pulse Strip, you can get up to 1.5% every single day, especially here in the garden. And Alpha 365 already did an 1.5 ROI, or up to 1.5% ROI. And of course, as longer the project goes on, people are compounding. They're compounding their bags, getting more and more Drip, Furio, ARC, or Pulse Drip in their wallets. And what they are gonna do with it, of course, they're gonna dump it because those tokens have no use case other than dumping it and taking profits in a stablecoin or in another blue chip. So of course, as in every project here, pre-salers, early ones in those projects get paid out by the fresh capital because none of these projects has any revenue stream who could sustain those high daily returns. And this will also be not possible in the future. Every new project which has the same concept as these four, and for example also Alpha 365, won't be there forever. Those projects will crash at some point. And that's why I want to give you the formula how you can be successful in terms of making profits in such kind of projects. Of course, I have to mention before we go into those several points, always when you make profits in such kind of a project, in such kind of a Ponzi, you are basically stealing or getting the funds from another person, which you might not know. But that's the case. Another person is buying Drip, you're selling your Drip. That's the exact same thing when you sell your Bitcoin. Some other guy is buying your Bitcoin at this price level and you are basically getting the funds of this other person. And that's why it's essential to be as early as possible in those kind of projects. So you might want to get in those at the pre-sale stages. Better if there's a seed sale or a private sale to get in there, because almost every single time, or if we take a look on all those projects, you were profitable if you got into the pre-sale in one of those projects. This was in Drip the case, in Furio, in ARC, and also in Pulse Drip, as people multiplied their initial investment after they got into the pre-sale of one of these projects. Second point, to be successful in such kind of a project is to take your profits. Stick to your strategy, take your profits, and the first thing you should do is getting your initial capital out of the project, whatever the project does. Because most of these projects launched side projects. Furio, for example, sold their trading bot thing. Arc5, for example, sold their Arc legacy NFTs. Drip, for example, also they released the Drip Garden, or for example the Animal Farm, and people were putting their money over there, their profits over there. But make sure before putting your profits in other side projects of this main project that you get your initial amount back on your wallet, that you are kind of safe, and whatever happens with your profits, you don't care. Because as we can see in all of these projects, there are pre-salers, there are people which are early in those projects, but those people get greedy. And greed in such kind of projects with almost every time the same pattern, that the token price goes down because of the massive inflation and of the missing external revenue, is the worst behavior and almost every time a big profit killer. That's why take your profits and move on afterwards. The third point to be in a successful project and making profits yourself is the promotion of this project, and we can see that currently in Pulse Drip. We jump over to YouTube and search for Pulse Drip DeFi and scroll through the timeline. We can see all those videos in the last month. We can see massive promotion of a lot of YouTubers, and most of those videos are not even paid shills. Those are videos from YouTubers which are invested themselves, who of course have teams in Pulse Drip, and probably most of these people were in pre-sale, and of course they want to get exit liquidity. And all this marketing is necessary for a project to be successful. We saw that in Drip. Most people are calling them the Drip Maxis, the big Drip YouTubers. If you were involved in Drip, you should know all of them. And yeah, those guys are hyping up a project. They release AMAs, they release the newest news, what's going on in those projects. And this is essential for a project to be successful, as well as for you to make profits in such kind of a project. Because if the hype dies down very fast, and if there's no support of YouTubers or influencers on other platforms, a project might not be successful. Of course, there is a little chance because of other reasons, but most of the time, if there's no support from YouTubers and other influencers, a project might down very fast. So in the end, it's just 3 points you might want to pay attention to. get into those projects as early as possible. I, for example, only get into those if they are into pre-sale stage. Otherwise, I just skip them and I don't regret anything in those projects. If I didn't manage to get in, project is pumping. That's cool for all the people that got in, but I don't get in after pre-sale. Second point is, don't get too greedy. Be disciplined, take your profits first, take your initial capital out of the project. And if the project is launching side projects, you should be very well aware if it makes sense for you to go in, if there is enough dry powder for those side projects, and if there is a chance that those are successful. Most of the times they are not. You're just wasting your capital in those side projects. That's at least what history shows in previous projects for around 90% of the investors. Furio failed to do it, ARK failed to do it, probably Pulse will also fail to do it, and Drip, yeah, I don't know, maybe some people made money in Animal Farm and in Drip Garden, but again, most of the people didn't. And the third point, of course, you should pay attention what's going on behind the scenes on YouTube, on social media platforms. Who is doing marketing for a project, and how important is this person for the project? How much following has this person, and how much maxis are built through this marketing efforts? So you saw this in Drip. Drip was only that successful because there were so many people believing, shilling, and yeah, pushing the project all over the place, doing daily videos, live streams, AMAs, and all that other stuff. And that's why people got hyped up and the project had the success which it had. So I hope that gave you an impression how I think about these projects and what might be the best ways to play them. There will be a fork coming out on the base network of those kind of projects very soon. I will of course release more information on this project once more information is public, and then you might decide yourself if you want to get into the pre-sale of this one or want to skip it. That should do it for today's video. If you liked it, would be great if you can hit the like button. If you don't want to miss future content, especially on this new project which will launch on Base, you might also want to subscribe. I release videos almost on a daily basis. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.